Hi, this is James Melendez, James a Wine Guy. Today I want to present this bottle. It's called El Candado Pedro Jimenez Sherry from Jerez de la Frontera in Spain. And I'm just pointing out the padlock on top. And El Candado means padlock. So the name, the label name fits in so well with the padlock actually being there. And it's something that intuitively I thought, I think some wines should have a padlock on them because they're so special and they should only be enjoyed on special occasions. And for me, PX, Pedro Jimenez, is something that I want to enjoy all the time. And I don't mean every day, I mean once a week. It's that seal the deal, showing that I've come and I earned my week's keep, so to speak. It's really that evocative wine that I think is really compelling and interesting. Now, sherries have approximately 7 different styles, from absolutely superbly dry to near tooth-achingly life-changing sweet. And the Pedro Jimenez, the PX, is definitely on the last. It is amazingly, amazingly sweet, but absolutely gorgeous and complex at the same time. Now, sherries have mainly two different varietals. One would be a Palomino grape, and the other is a Pedro Jimenez grape. And these wines are fortified. It's also a wine that when you think about, it would be one of the wines that if you could make, which would be only in Jerez de la Frontera, it's a protected trade name, and coming from an only one certain area in Spain. And I'll show you in Spain where it's actually, where the grapes are grown. So it may be a little fuzzy to see here, but you can see the, I'll move my finger there. So Strait of Gibraltar, so Jerez de la Frontera is facing the Atlantic, so it's in that purple section there. So it's an area where you grow two different varietals. You ferment them. You actually input some neutral grape spirit, and so that gives it a different characteristic and flavor profile as well. So this wine, the Pedro Jimenez, this is 18% alcohol. All these grapes are white. So I'll just give you a preview. This is dark, inky black. It's absolutely phenomenally wonderful. It is a fantastic wine. It's something I rave about constantly. And I rave about it because it's one of those wines you say, wow, I made it this week. Look what I completed. And isn't that nice? Here, I'm going to toast with myself or family and friends and say, here's what we've done. We survived another week, and we did so and not just survived, but we thrived, if you will. So this producer, A.R. Valdespino, has been around since about 1264, so it has a great heritage, a great lineage. And this wine, again, as I mentioned, can only be sourced from Jerez de la Frontera. So these bodegas are producing these styles of wine, and this particular producer has many different styles. And this particular bottling is one that I hear friends of mine say, oh, Pedro Jimenez, it's great on vanilla ice cream. And I think for me that's really, I love vanilla ice cream, love Pedro Jimenez. I like to keep them separate. I like to enjoy them separately because I think that's really taking the mark of this wine. And it's unfortunate that that's done. I mean, if that's what you really want to do, fine. I'm not going to say you can't or shouldn't do that. My preference is to drink it alone and by itself, and especially after a meal. It's that digestive. It's a perfectly wonderful wine to have for that. So getting back to the complexity of making this wine and why it's so laborious, what you're going to do is you're going to have a 3, 4, 5 barrel system, and those barrels on top are always feeding the bottom barrel on the very bottom, and that is you take 20% of the content out of that and bottle that, and that's the law, and you can take no more. So you feed down from year to year to year. So that's why sherry has no vintage. And that's the cool part about this, is that you can talk about when the Solera was founded, and every Pedro Jimenez, every other style of sherry is unique and different. And that's the beauty of this wine. So for me, I get some really wonderful flavor profiles. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to open this up a bit, do a little pour here, because I think it's a fantastically fun way to see how viscous this wine is and how beautiful it is. And I'm praying that I don't lose the key to this because I would cry. I'll move this up so you can actually see this being poured into this glass. So you see it's not syrup. It's something better than syrup. And it really, for 18% alcohol, you think, oh, this is going to burn, it's going to be so hot. But instead, it actually works well with the characteristics of the wine, and definitely the acids break through the sugar. So when you actually, you end up scenting this, and you're getting really nice exotic flavors. And then when you taste it, nice and slow, and only slight sips. And what you get from it is that it doesn't end sweet. You get some nice notes of truffle honey, clover, lavender, dried Turkish fig, dates, pine nuts, and vanilla. And it just enjoy it. Let it just go into your system slowly. And I think that's the beauty of this wine. And it's one that I think that it really doesn't take much to enjoy. Try it, you'll like it, you'll be hooked. And on my recent adventure here in this wine sophisticated city of San Francisco, I struggled to find a PX, which is both surprising and not surprising. And I talked to a wine retailer that I know, and he said, oh, I'll ramp up for Christmas time, for holiday time. And I said, wow, that's the only time you ramp up? And he said, yeah. So really, most people buy this as a holiday wine, maybe from Thanksgiving to perhaps New Year's. I think it's something that for me, I try to at least once a week if I can find it and have a good supply. So found it here at the Wine Club in San Francisco. It is $20 for 375 milliliters. So, as a kid, I would watch Bond movies. I loved Bond. And I remember in probably the most wine-oriented movie, which is Diamonds Are Forever. And there's a line that talked about sherry, and it goes something like this. And Bond says, pity about your liver, sir. Unusually fine Solera. 51, I believe. M, there is no year for sherry, 007. And Bond quips back and says, I was referring to the original vintage of which this sherry is based, 1851. Yes, I know I do a terrible accent, but the idea is there. And I just thought, wow, obscure reference then. Obscure now, because I think most people that watch that scene truly don't get that. But it made me laugh, and it also piqued my curiosity to try this curious thing called sherry. I give the sherry a 9.5 out of my 10.0 scale. For more wine reviews, please go to jamesthewineguy.com, and please subscribe to my videos on YouTube. And please follow me on Twitter, jamesthewineguy.com. Salud!